Hey guys, it's me, Dax. Lovely sunny afternoon. So I'm sat in my garden and I'm about to begin the process of my 30 dates with Dax. So basically 30 days in a row, I'll be showing up and answering your questions and creating kind of solutions to your biggest problems and challenges around being a coach, even around being a person. Like some of the things that are holding you up and keeping you back from where you really want to be. So in today's video, this one is an answer to a question from Gail in London. Galen said, what's my best, me personally, Dax, what's my best strategy to increase group interaction? And where Galen mentions group, I have a tendency to use the word tribe, of which obviously you're part of the Enlightened Coach tribe, right? So my best strategies for increasing group interaction, well, I guess there's severalfold. The very first one, like number one, is to know who you are. Like know who you are, know what you're about, know what you believe, and know what most inspires you to show up and talk. Okay, ultimately, it really, in many respects, it really is that simple. Like the best and most powerful way to build a tribe is to be really clear about what your message is and why you want to share it. So, for the longest time now, my messages have revolved around this very simple idea that people don't have to be more than they are. They're just got to be all that they are. And once they are, they're going to experience life in a very different way, right? So you'll see that as a core theme of every message that I put out is always going to be about showing up as yourself, as your authentic self, of being all that you are. So not worrying about having to kind of do 1,001 other courses and seminars and workshops and get more certificates and bits of paper and have other people condone you and kind of say that everything that you do is cool. It's more about you saying, this is what I'm about, this is the message I'm here to bring. So that's the first thing. Like, be clear on what you're here to do. The other part of my kind of dedication to the service, like this, be all that you are. Don't worry about being, you don't have to be more than you are, just be all that you are. Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm so attracted to serving coaches, because for me personally, I see it as ripples in a pond. So I want to show up, I want to work with coaches to help them feel more ready to show up as their most powerful and influential selves. And because when they do, they're going to change the lives of lots and lots of people. And in that way, I get to kind of have that feeling that I was then involved in the transformation of not just my own clients and not just the coaches in my own tribe, but kind of worldwide. Like, it extends my connection. So that's the first thing. Like, get really clear about who you are and what you are most moved to speak about. That is the most important thing, because that leads to point number two, which is to show up consistently. Like, show up as much as you can. Like, show up every day. Show up multiple times per day. So many people I speak to say that they have an anti relationship with Facebook or with social media. That kind of, I love working with clients. I can't stand social media. Well, look, social media is a big part of the world we live in. I'm certainly not telling you have to show up in social media. But it is a big part of the world that we live in now, and it's the easiest way to get your words, to get your ideas, to get your messages, to get your most powerful and influential, if I say, content across to the people that you most feel compelled to serve. And very often, if you're not feeling particularly inspired or feeling particularly motivated to show up on social media, it comes down to a really simple thing, or a couple of really simple things. Thing number one is that you're not clear on what you're trying to say. You're not clear why you're here, right, so to speak. And we took care of that in the first one. Be clear. Like, say, what am I going to put my time, my effort, my emotion, my money, what am I going to put my life on the line for? What am I going to get behind? That's the very first thing. Second, that maybe you're not serving the people that you most often want to serve. So, when I look at people that are very resistant to using social media for their businesses, it's because they get a lot of trolls, because they get a lot of people, they say very common, particularly in personal trainers, for example, who are making the transition across to being more of a coach, having more of a coach-centric business. They'll say, I go on and I say all this deep stuff about transforming your life and about how important it is to kind of learn new patterns and new habits. And all they want to do is ask me about, kind of nutrition plans and stuff. Well, the simplest answer to that is stop answering all the questions about nutrition plans. If it doesn't serve you, if it continues to attract the people that you don't want to attract, then stop, for want of a better expression, putting out the bait. Kind of, that's a really good metaphor. If you keep throwing the bait in the water for people who are really into gaining nutritional advice, and what you really want to do is work on mindset, don't be surprised if the only people that kind of bite the hook and the people that start kind of tugging on your metaphorical shirt sleeves are the ones who are going to continue to ask that. It's your job to show up in the world with your most powerful message. It's no one else's job to say, well, kind of I'm gonna stay on tack with Dax's message. Nobody in this group is forced to believe in what I believe, to associate with me, to ask me questions. Obviously, the right people in any tribe will surface, and certainly this comes down to consistency. If you keep showing up as a person with a specific kind of message, that's brilliant, because what's going to happen is you're effectively going to repel the people who are not really resonating with you, and you're going to attract more of the ones that are. If you are a little bit mix and match because you're hoping to keep the attention of everyone, and you're hoping at some point in the future to convert those people across to this new way of thinking, you're likely to be a bitser, bits of this, bits of that, bits of something to everyone, rather than somebody saying, wow, this is amazing. It's one of the reasons why you don't see me, you'll see me kind of talking on a lot of topics, but kind of the topics are always about mindset, self-growth, and they always tie in to this idea of you not having to be more than you are, just be all that you are, and the idea about being authentic and walking your own path, creating your business the way you want to create it, creating your life the way you want to create it. And so, everything I ever do will be on those topics. Well, I'm not saying they're the most attractive topics. They're the most attractive topics to the people who are most attracted to those topics. I know that sounds a bit inane, right? But that really is the case. So for the people that are saying, shit, I just want to know how to do some Facebook ads and build a business. Well, I'm not your guy. I know how to do all that kind of stuff, and plus, I associate with a lot of very, very wise people in those areas. And that, anything that I could possibly want to find out and put in a post, I could definitely put it there, even if it's not within my skill set. But why would I want to do that? Why would I want to attract people who are attracted to stuff that I'm not really about, that I'm not really passionate about? And I think that's one of the biggest challenges for Galen and so many of the other coaches who are in the tribes. They tend to forget that, and they tend to think, if I can just appeal to people in these conversations, then I'm going to end up dragging them across to a new conversation, and that one is the one that I really want to have. It's one way to look at it, but I don't think it's the most skillful way to look at it. I think the most skillful way to look at any form of tribe building is for you to actually say the things that you have been saying, that you are saying, including inside of your own head, and that you want to be saying tomorrow. These are the conversations I want to continue having. Start start the way you mean to go on with your tribes. Don't pander to them. Don't kind of worry about how big they get. Some of my biggest tribes over the years have become the least committed because I flooded them out really quickly. I remember at one point I built a tribe of like 10,000 people on Ning, and really though it all came down to around about 500 to 800 of those were regular contributors who really made the tribe something, and the rest of them really didn't engage, and they only showed up whenever something free was going on, or whenever a topic happened to cross into an area that they were really interested in. So my point to you then is, don't have anyone in your tribes who isn't really interested in you. And that goes for you guys watching this. Like, if you really don't feel the Enlightened Coach, if you don't feel what I'm trying to do here, if you don't feel the message, and you think, well, there are guys out there who kind of have got a much more resonant message than Dax, then the best thing you could possibly do for yourself, and the best thing you could actually do for me, the way you'd serve me, would be to unsubscribe from this group, to actually leave. Because then my group gets purer and purer of mind and heart in alignment with where I'm going. I'm not saying that my mind and heart is so pure and yours isn't, but in alignment with where I'm going, I end up with a very, very pure tribe. And the people that don't want to be here leave, and the people that really want to be here engage more. So those are a few of the things. Now, in terms of they're more strategic. In terms of tactical, one of the best ways to kind of create group interaction is to ask questions. Certainly, the asking of questions to a tribe is one of the more powerful, particularly if it's done fairly consistently. Like this thread. I mean, this thread isn't huge yet, but once people start to see that I'm actually answering questions live again, the thread will build up, and more people will come on board, and they'll start asking me questions. So the interaction goes up. Another thing is to create the content to an individual at times, like this. Like I've named out Galen, right? Galen London, because once I've named out the Galen London, I'm going to, as I post this video, I'll tag Galen in it. Galen will, he'll be one of the 5,000 people in this tribe who absolutely, definitely, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, will come and watch the video. That will lead to some more engagement. It will lead to some social proof that somebody real, not just Dax Moy with an agenda, but someone real is asking a question, and Dax Moy is answering a real question, right? So that's an important part of tribe building. What else? What else is important? Your not just consistency of message and consistency of showing up, but your consistency of self. And what I mean by that is, if you've been around me any length of time, you'll know that basically my message, while it's evolved over time, it hasn't ever really changed. 1 week I'm not like the guy who's all over this idea, and the following week I'm anti it. You don't see me kind of showing up on social media, getting into tons of fights with people and huge arguments all over the place. I think that's happened a handful of times in my life on social media. And I'm always a bit embarrassed at the fact that it happened, that somebody kind of caught me unawares and I slipped at that moment. But very rarely will you see me get engaging in something that doesn't actually serve my bigger purpose. And that's another part, this Buddhist concept of skill. I'm not actually a Buddhist. I'm not fully practicing Buddhist, but the philosophy I'm most in alignment with is definitely Buddhism. And one of the things that I love about Buddhism is this idea of taking away the morals of right and wrong, of should and shouldn't, and all that kind of stuff, and instead just asking ourselves, is this skillful? So, is this skillful? The only way we know if something is skillful is, is it delivering the result that I intended when I set out on this path? And that's brilliant, because it takes away the morals and everything else, and it just looks at it from a results-based perspective, right? And the results can be like, I wanted to feel good about myself. I wanted to, it doesn't have to be like I put an extra 20 grand in my bank account. It can be about how you feel about yourself. That's still a result. Skillful is a way of us checking with ourselves about whether what we're doing really, really works. And so when I think about showing up, like, is this skillful? Is the way that I'm showing up today skillful? Is it demonstrating to people what I believe, what I'm about, what my intent for them is? Or is it all over the place, and have I got myself kind of caught up in a mini war or a battle with someone? Have I kind of started to become something I'm not, in order to attract people that don't really like me, but I wanted to grow my audience? All that kind of stuff. Show up authentically is another way of saying that, right? But kind of authenticity is not just about saying, well, I swear sometimes, so therefore in all my videos and all my content I'm going to now start to curse. It's, I've sworn in this one once maybe. It's about just being your natural self, like who you really are, not kind of putting on a front. So show up as authentically as you can, show up as consistently as you can, show up as purposefully as you can. Passion, yeah, it's a good thing. Like, kind of, if you can show up passionately, that's cool. But show up purposefully first. Like, why am I here? In other words, let your intent drive your content. So I hope that was some useful content delivered with intent. And Galen, I look forward to hearing your response to that. If you've got any follow-up questions to that, that's cool. And I'd love to hear any feedback from anybody that's watching this, and kind of whether you agree with it, disagree with it. I don't really mind. This isn't about kind of forcing you into agreement. You're not being browbeaten into submission here. That's a perspective here that, from my experience, from my knowledge, through kind of the things that have worked for me, that I really do think and I have seen work for other people. So yeah, let me know what you think. Till next time, take care.